up, fam? Welcome back to the CEO Post Podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. We are sitting down with Mr. Zak Keepes. He's one of the most active investors, actually doing stuff out there on a day-to-day basis, working the trenches and crushing it as he goes along. He's the owner of Zak Ventures, one of the biggest single-family residence portfolios in the state. And I mean, the stuff that you've done, the stuff that you put out there, the help that you give out people. You have groups that you hold on a regular basis. People come to you for advice. They come to you for deals. They come to you for just about everything in between, right? So it's really cool to see the magnitude of everything that you're doing and putting it out together. So I want to break into all that stuff. I want to welcome you to the show. Thanks for doing this, brother, and taking the time to stop by, man.
We talked about this for a long. Zach, when are you free? When are you free? We talk about it all the time. I said, let's set the date. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to learn more about you as well and your company and what you guys do. Beautiful,
man. Yeah, well, super cool to have you. Yeah, it's the premise of the contact or the premise of the podcast is entrepreneurship in general, right? A lot of times we get pulled towards the real estate side of things because it houses. I think it just people gravitate. Entrepreneurs tend to gravitate to real estate. It's one of those high achiever type of mentality places where you just gotta be on top of your game. It's one of those places that gives you the most opportunity out there. It's a great vehicle for wealth, but it doesn't mean that the principles do not transfer over to different industries. I mean, you've been able to crush it. I mean, I know a little bit about your background. I know that you're crushing it right now. I mean, you're doing well. I mean, you jump into rehab projects and that sort of thing that break the $1 million bank and that sort of thing. Which, I mean, it's big stuff, right? When you put it into perspective, add that to the fact that you have this portfolio, you've been able to build it up throughout the years. How did you get started? What made you decide to jump into entrepreneurship in general, specifically real estate, and then just start hitting it?
Great questions. Again, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I love your energy. I know your cousin, which we figured out, Wada Mike, Mr. Wada Tacos. Yeah. It's a small world of big people doing, great things. So thank you again. In terms of entrepreneurship, it's random. People will ask me, did you go to college? What did you study? One of my majors was entrepreneurship. People say, how do you study that? Either you have it or you don't, but I believe it's a combination. I think, the platform, like you say, all the principles that we apply in real estate or in entrepreneurship are transferable across all domains. As a kid, you're doing the pop can things and selling bagels to apartment complexes and creating jewelry and bracelets. It's like you always just think about ways to make money. And one thing that really captivated my attention, I worked a little bit on Wall Street as an intern trading zero-cost collar options for high net worth individuals. And I did some research amongst, the wealthiest people in the world. And when you read the Forbes magazine and they talk about, the billionaires of the world, there's one major commonality amongst probably 90% of them, whether they're directly or indirectly involved, and that's real estate. So that really captivated my attention. Yeah. And I said, wow, if 90% of these billionaires are somehow, maybe they built these other companies through entrepreneurship and then they invest that capital into passive income through real estate, I knew that would be a great niche to really focus on and pursue.
And so how do you do it? I mean, so you're working at a very regulated, industry, and then you just wake up one morning and say, fuck it, I'm gonna jump into real estate and then make it happen.
No, I wasn't working full-time in Wall Street. No. I mean, I had that opportunity as an intern to work at Prudential Securities. These high net worth guys got acquisitions through stock, and they said, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you just got $100 million in AOL stock during the dot-com era. $100 million, that's amazing. But that $100 million with a volatile, equities market could go to zero. It could go to $2 million or $5 million. Right. Conversely, that $100 million could go to $200 or $300 million. But can we put something in place to mitigate that volatility to assure you? Because when you get acquired by a company with stock, it's called restricted stock, Rule 144. You cannot sell that stock mostly on a private sale or public sale for 6 months. So in the course of 6 months, a lot of volatility, you have $100 million in the hand. Why jeopardize that? So we created solutions to ensure that person who got acquired or that entity who got acquired, we could preserve that asset and ensure that they would walk away in 6 months with $100 million because there's a lot of volatility. So that's kind of the mindset that I utilize in my real estate portfolio and in business altogether is what's the upside potential? And then most importantly, what is the downside risk? I'm a contingency-based guy. So in every decision I think about what can I lose, what can go wrong, and how can I mitigate that for protection?
Do you start off with that thought process and then think about the upside? Or is that a normal thing?
It's simultaneously, I think, something that's been ingrained in my head. You know, so many people, especially in this market right now, which I think is critical, is we've had a lot of what's called wind at our back, right? Anyone, we could take this room, you throw a dart at this wall, and you're going to hit. So any, what I call idiot, you don't have to be the smartest person at all, you're taking massive action, you're going to get supported through wind at your back, what we call appreciation. So if the house is worth 150, by the time you resell and you over improved it and you sell it for 200 and you put $25,000 in there, you're still going to make $15,000 or $20,000 because you've been supported through appreciation. Now, what happens if all of a sudden that wind goes to stagnancy or you get, you know, a frontal wind at you? What happens? Can you adapt? Can you pivot? What happens in that circumstance? Hence, contingency planning, adaptability, you know, flexibility, things of that nature. So I'm the guy that thinks about, hey, where's the parachute? Where's the exit? I need extra gas. I always need extra water. What can go wrong? And if I'm prepared for those situations, I have longevity.
I love it, man. So you come in with the almost it's almost like the long-term, you know, thought mentality, not that instant gratification that most people look for right out of the gate. I mean, that's really what gives you.
It's easy to be attracted to, hey, I want the sugar, and then you have to keep tasting that sugar to keep feeling good. Well, if you know that if you eat healthy and you can kick that sugar addition, I always like to say it's a marathon, not a sprint, and that's always been my mentality. Everyone likes quick money and they think that it's easy, but if you create solid relationships, you do things the right way, the money comes, but it's a marathon. Take the necessary steps, build the good products, take the time to do things right, and then you have a solid foundation. Most people with that quick money or that sugar high, you have a cracked foundation. Eventually, everything's going to tumble down.
Yeah.
What I want to build is long-term sustainable longevity, durability.
So you jump into real estate, and how long ago was that?
Yeah, so I came out to Arizona. We talk about getting uncomfortable. I came out, didn't know anybody, had a cousin out here.
I remember you saying that you came to Arizona by yourself, and I mean, no connections, no nothing, just pretty much
had a cousin out here that was, you know, working in the business, and had other cousins that were going to be our capital support system in the Midwest, and they recognized this as a top market that was ripe for penetration, and came out here and started buying. And one home at a time, and bought 60 houses, 100, 120, and grew this thing one home at a time, one relationship, one contractor at a time, to start building branding and, you know, executing, and it's been a wild ride.
Man, and how long have since that happened?
So 2002, I came out, I remember the day, August 5th, 2002, America West. You know,
bro, we are talking, you know, 20 years in the making.
19, yeah, literally 19 years.
Yeah, 19
because
years.
August 5th, we're right here August 10th. So literally 19 years and a couple days later, here we are. It's been just a wild, wild ride. I came out, I remember, felt that heat, and I'm like, man, I'm already uncomfortable. This is good. I always like to say, when people are too comfortable, you're not growing, you're not learning, you're not evolving. And so it was an uncomfortable, you know, unsettling feeling going out to a new city, didn't know anybody, didn't have any connections, and, you know, stepping right into the trenches.
Well, that's the thing, man. Taking that action, right? Taking that massive action. It's almost cliche. We read it in just about every, you know, personal growth book out there. You listen to, you know, something similar at every seminar that you go to. But at the end of the day, you do have that massive action. I think the best bet that we can take is to bet on ourselves.
Sure.
I mean, I think we are the only, you know, person or individual that is not going to let us, you know, guaranteed not to let you down. If you let yourself down, it's because, I mean, at the end of the day, there's some willingfulness right there, right? Yeah. And it's happening. I mean, you have control over that. You don't have control over a partnership. What if the partner, I mean, maybe that's, you know, great person, everything, but what if they die? Like, if you die, it's game over. Like, that's
into my contingency planning. I roll solo, you know, because I like being the captain of my domain. I love the way you say, you know, I'm a guarantee to myself, so I know what I'm going to perform. Same thing. We get so many different investment opportunities, or in business period, we call them syndications, offerings, memorandums, whatever it may be, for all these different opportunities. But at the end of the day, we can't control it. We can control where we, you know, diversify our capital.
Yeah.
But I'd much rather bet on myself because I'm in charge. I know what I'm going to do. I don't know what these other people are going to do. Yeah, they may have a fiduciary duty. They get front-end management fees and all these different, you know, entrepreneurship type deals, which we talk about all the time. And that's what I study. I said, are these guys front-loaded? They're getting paid a management fee up front? Or what motivation do they have to make me money if they're just getting a fee up front? They're getting a percent of the fund.
Yeah.
So I've invested in a lot of other deals in my career, and my best deals that I've ever done are on myself. You know, time and time again, which is
no, and it doesn't mean that you can't partner up, right? It means that you, for example, you team up with somebody and then you do a JV. But at the end of the day, your actions, that throttle is being controlled by you. It's being managed by you. How heavy do I go? How much do I relax on this? What's the leeway there? And I think it's one of the scariest things to do, to come in and bet on yourself, especially if you're just parachuting into this one new city without any connections, any infrastructure in place, anything like that. It can be scary. However, big kudos, man, because it's not something that just the regular Joe would just up and leave and then go somewhere else and try to crush it, right? Sure. Again, you have this long-term mentality, which has been proven to be one of the keys to your success, which is think long-term. Think contingencies. Think plan A, plan B, and maybe a plan C if it's out there. But relying solidly on creating that network.
Yeah, and staying the course, right? It's easy to get deterred. It's easy to get distracted by there's always different variables coming your way and different things. You got to stay the course. I know, were you an Ironman or you've done distance stuff, or you come from athletic background?
I've done competitions and stuff like that. Yeah.
Fitness competitions.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah. So you get it. So it's like, hey, you got to stay the course. You take that one little cheat meal, or you take the day off from the exercise, the gym, and it just puts you in that rut. You got to just keep moving forward. And when you have that momentum, that movement, it's hard to slow down. But when you slow down, it's hard to gear back up to get back into that, into that speed, into that momentum. So it's from my Ironman trainings and everything else, like I'm just a regimented person. I just want to say, hey, I got these, this is what I got to knock out. We always have this huge capacity, and no one recognizes our capacity is much greater than we think.
Absolutely. A couple of things pop into my mind as you say that. It's one of them. It's the phrase, and it's been kind of just bubbling in a few different settings over the last couple of days. It's interesting, but it's a message that I keep getting right now. Like if you do something if you do enough for long enough, you're gonna get results, right? For sure. It's not rocket science. If you do something, for long enough,
that
you're gonna
consistency.
You're already walking that direction. You're gonna have results. The quality is different, but you're gonna be that depends on the commitment and skill set and everything. Yeah. But if you do something for long enough, you're gonna get results. And the second one is when you're on that track and you're actually in it. For example, you're in the trenches right now, right? If you say that you decided, okay, I worked a lot, over the last 20 years, I'm gonna take a year off. Fine, that's fine and dandy. But if you disconnect, it's not just it's not like turning it on the next day. Same when you're on a fitness regimen or something. It's not like turning it on. You have to turn it on, and then it takes a little bit of time to come back into that state of flow to pick things up. I think that's one of the things that gets left out a lot of times from the projections or the business plans or the the blueprints of whatever it is somebody is doing. It's that time that it takes to come back and then get the rhythm back under your.
That's why I like that
belt.
consistent activity. People say, hey, why don't you travel more? Why don't you sell your portfolio? I love the art of the game. I like watering these plants every single day. It's like we're going back to consistency. I think all of us are farmers, whatever that we're feeding, and every single day, sure, you could go out 3 days a week and sprinkle the plants and give them, some nice, better, feed tubes or whatever it may be that you're feeding them with. But if you're out there every single day, tilling your plants and feeding them and watering them every day, in a matter of time, you're going to be a great farm, organic. It's going to yield great results. But if you're out there incrementally, you may get a couple things sprouting out, but it's going to be sporadic and inconsistent. So our actions yield that consistent production, profitability, yield, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, absolutely. So paint the picture for me. You started 2002. You were coming from Wall Street, so not necessarily.
No, I wouldn't really listen. I had a brief stint in Wall Street, and I worked 2 summers in New York City. One for Sony, which is a division of Sony's private record label, which was really cool. Worked on a business plan to raise capital for a private label company called Tangerine Records. So I met with all those guys.
Nice.
Business plans to attract capital to bring on artists that Sony wouldn't sign. They had the first right of refusal to sign cool music artists, and they'd present it to the team, and the team would say, yes, we're going to sign them with Sony, and if not, then this joint venture record label had the ability to sign the different artists and movies or whatever it was, which is really cool. And I met high-profile people, which was nice, but I was never captivated. I'm like, okay, I need Kamosi, all these cool little artists. I was like, nice to meet you, whatever. I was just figuring out, hey, how are we going to make money? How can we grow something? How can we scale? And that was fun. Then the Prudential deal. But my mindset was always, I want to grow something massive.
This is a side thought, right? But isn't it crazy how you're being exposed to environments like that? You get to just interact, right? Interacting with high profile people and everything. But looking at a property that's jacked up, just seems a lot sexier when you're into real estate.
Listen to
Like,
me. I didn't care about these
man.
celebrities. I'm like, I like the upside potential of this one. My mind's spinning. I'm like, this is easy. Yeah. I mean, that was a lot more complex business, figuring out
find your
so many
groove,
moving
yeah.
parts, managing people, raising private capital, what's the return on these deals, all the different, what's it called when you get all the records out, you get a percentage of the profitability on those deals.
The label sales or
not label sales. They get like a recurring revenue off of plays or acquisitions, whatever it is. But
the royalties.
Exactly. Yeah. Figuring out the royalties is a lot more complex than I think brick and mortar business of real estate.
Yeah. I love the analogy about everybody being a farmer. I think you're completely right. Whatever you sow, you reap, right? Is that how it goes? Did I say it right?
Yeah.
All right. I'm always messing up analogies
maybe I'm dyslexic, I don't know. Sounds good.
I think in Spanish, say it in English, sometimes it doesn't connect. But yeah, so you get into it back in 2002, and you start building, putting this thing together. We were briefly talking before we hit record, and you mentioned simplicity. You mentioned because I asked you, like, what does it take to get going with to get to a level of performance like the one you're in. Yeah. The stuff that you do is no joke. It's not your average flip. It's not, and you have very solid connections. You have an outstanding reputation throughout the valley. I mean, people gravitate towards you because of that, right? They see the quality, the quality of the individual, I think, and people can smell bullshit a mile away. Like we've always, we talked about that before too. So how do you build something that gets you in that standing progressively, pretty much from a starting point of zero?
Sure. It all starts from the foundation. I think a lot of people, when they're getting started in entrepreneurship period, people like to overanalyze, or they get paralysis analysis, or they're seeing these big operations, these big hedge funds say, why would I do that? And they have 50 callers and acquisitions people, and they have all this different software and many different complications. I'm going to show you right now the key to my business right here, which is this phone right here. This is my system. I manage hundreds of homes, all day long. I analyze deals on this thing. I don't have any back-end systems. I don't have any acquisitions managers. I don't have, portfolio managers for my portfolio. I just handle it. And if you build a strong, durable product, you have good communications, good relationships, that is the key. So many people are, again, we talked about this before, some people are, it's a numbers game. You call 10,000 people. And I disagree with that per se. I think it's a relationship game. It's about, differentiating yourself, having meaningful and impactful conversations, combining what I call your passion with your other passion. I'm passionate about deals and real estate, but you need to differentiate yourself. Everyone out there does one thing. They say, hey, I'm a cash buyer. We can pay cash for your house. Nobody cares. You're not unique. So how can you create a unique identity, differentiate yourself, be impactful, listening, be engaging, so that person retains who you are. So when they are in that level of distress or have that high utility to sell or do business, whatever domain that you're in, they think of you. So I do funny shit. You got to have fun. You got to relax, slow it down, ask critical questions. What are you passionate about? What's your background? Where are you from? Those are engaging questions. Not right about how much do you want for your house. Nobody cares. They want to do business with somebody they feel comfortable doing business with, that are likable, they're fun, they're going to get you to the finish line. And it's not just about that deal. It's about, I'm friends with my tenants. This weekend, I went out and had ribs with somebody. When can you come over for, brunch? I'm like, you tell me, I'm there. You make the best ribs in town. And then all of a sudden, you're servicing their brothers and cousins and mothers and everyone else, and you're treating them like family. So if you treat people well, you slow it down, you have impactful, long-lasting conversations, you differentiate yourself, you combine whatever you're passionate in with your other passions. So, for example, I love dogs. And unfortunately, cancer has hit my family. So anytime I see something where, hey, there's medical issues, and say, you empathize with them and you show vulnerability and you break down those barriers where you're not just some salesman or some entrepreneur looking to make a buck. If you can execute and communicate on the highest level and be fully engaging, transparent and real and authentic, you're going to do business.
I think, man, I love it. And I think the key word is being real and authenticity, right? That goes a long way. In the sense of caring for people and actually coming in with a solution driven mentality as opposed to the money hungry mentality. Let's see how many dollars I can squeeze out of this person.
Right.
It doesn't matter what industry you're in. The principle still stands, right? People want to do business with somebody they trust. People want to do business. I have the 3 principles in all my businesses, and this is throughout and across the board. It's 3 simple things that we follow. Number 1 is radical transparency. Number 2 is extreme ownership. Number 3, it's people over profits.
Yeah.
Those 3 things just cover a lot of the headaches that would come along if people didn't embrace it. If somebody doesn't fit that, or they belong somewhere else.
Yeah.
But if you come in with a people first mentality, I mean, that opens just so many doors, gives you opportunity. The one thing that I didn't understand, it took me a long time to realize, especially when I was in a survival state, building the first business and that sort of thing, was the money's a byproduct. The financial success is a byproduct of the stuff that I'm doing right now, of how good my solution is, right?
Yeah.
I didn't understand that, and I would try to focus on the pragmatic side of things, on the widget per se, right? I would focus on the widget as opposed to what's going on with the human capital behind it.
Yeah.
At the beginning, it was just stressful. It was a big mistake. I didn't know better. When it clicked, everything just changed.
Yeah, floodgates open.
Yeah, everything just changed. So yeah, I completely agree, man. I completely agree. I love
And
it.
it's very consultative. Like, there's not just one solution. And you talk about your number 1 factor, transparency. You said complete transparency. What was your verbiage?
Radical transparency.
Radical transparency. I love that. When you're radically transparent to people, and I go into a house or it's a referral from somebody, or it's a referral and there's no other agent or wholesaler or anyone else involved, and I'm dealing face-to-face, belly-to-belly, which I love doing, I always tell them, hey, I'm just one option for you. I may not be the best option, right? But until I understand what you need, you treat me like a buffet. Hey, you want my offer? You need 3 months post-possession. You need, what is your issue? And I'm going to be your aspirin. If I can't do it, here's an alternative. And no worries, because you're going to refer me to the next 7 people. If I can't solve your solution, I'm not the best fit, I'm going to show you who is.
Right.
And you're going to refer me to 10 other people, because I'm okay with that, because it's a deferred gratification. I don't need that quick, sprint mentality. I'm here for the marathon. So if we can fulfill and take care of people like a good doctor and serve all those patients, they're going to refer you time and time again. You're going to build those long-term relationships, and you're going to eat all along the way by doing that radical transparency, operating with a good fiduciary duty to those people you're doing business with, and creating those win-win situations.
Yeah, doing the right thing, man, goes a long way.
Always.
I've had situations where looking at an investment property, I don't walk away with a contract, somebody else does, but I gave them a resource, I gave them a connection, I pointed them in the right direction. So I became somehow, some way, their go-to guy for one thing, right? Time goes by, they keep my number, they call me back. Hey, listen, my brother's selling their house, but I told them about you, so I want you to talk to him. Then I end up, it comes back.
1,000%. It's karma.
It's karma. It comes back, and it's not. It's hard to factor that into a business plan. But that's really how shit works.
I think going back and you teach, your business at the collegiate level, we're going to do a whole class on karma. You do good things and good things happen. It's just a domino effect of positivity.
Yeah.
I really believe that, and you're having fun. And again, it's the karma of, hey, you solved that solution. Maybe you didn't get paid right now, but again, you're going to get paid because that's karma. You just did the right thing. You were radically transparent. You executed. You provided a solution. And again, whether it be tomorrow or in 6 months or in 5 years, and I've had people refer me a decade. Hey, you bought my Uncle Bobby's house.
Yeah.
I'm like, where did Uncle Bobby live? And I remember every house. Oh, sure, I remember that property. Great.
Yeah.
And you're the only guy that
great
they're
ribs.
dealing with. Best ribs in town. He had me over for Christmas. Let's go.
Yeah. You're full of surprises, brother. Right now, you said right before, and this is a true story, right before we clicked, actually, I'll interject the clip right here. But right before we started recording, you said, you want to do a deal? Like, yeah, do a deal. The guy answers the phone, and then this lady starts speaking Spanish to you, and then you just go on this whole Spanish conversation with the lady, get it all set up.
Zach speaking. Hello? Bueno. Okay. ¿Cuál casa? ¿La uno por ahí, la 2105 de la Rose Garden? Bueno, puede pasar cuando tú quieres, no hay problema. Estoy al sur, en la Phoenix, pero tengo un lockbox ahí. Yo puedo mandarle los códigos para tener acceso. También pueden borrarlo de afuera a su gusto. Ok, perfecto. Sí, se me puede mandar esa información y yo voy ahorita. Ok. Tengo una cita ahorita, márqueme como a las 4:30 y podemos hablar o reunirnos. No, no hay problema. Está bien.
Sí. Ah, bueno.
Gracias. Te mando los códigos. Ok, gracias. A este número te mando. Gracias.
But that's a kind of creative process that you gotta have, I think. I mean, it's like you said earlier. If you're not growing, like there's something wrong. I mean, the adage goes, if you're not growing, you're dying, right? But you went into this new place, started to carve out a new reality for you, and then you grew well into it. I mean, like a lot of our population here is Latin, so it makes sense to get around a second language and then just and tackle it that way. So growth coming at you from a bunch of different perspectives, keeping it fresh, keeping it fun. I mean, I think that's we have the opportunity to play as entrepreneurs.
Sure.
And if you have that level of creativity, I think it becomes a real fun space as opposed to this space of responsibility and I mean, there's always responsibility, right? But you can see it in a good light.
For sure.
It doesn't have to be this pressure, this boiler. What do you call it? The
boiler
pots.
room.
Yeah.
The popcorn mentality.
Yeah, exactly. And it can be something fresh. It can be something fun. It can be something that really, it's really contributing back to the community, to the people that you serve, and that's exactly what you're doing. So.
Yeah. Well, it's just random again in karma. I happen to love Spanish, learning the Spanish culture, the people, South America, Latino, Mexico, all of it. I happen to live in Spain and study international business, which became a huge asset, unbeknownst to me. I didn't know I'm moving to Arizona. I didn't know what level of impact that would have, but it's been amazing. I always encourage people to speak other languages. It's paid massive dividends. Number one, a lot of my tenants are Latino. They don't speak any English. I've done 1 million contracts. It's a matter of respect, where there's a lot of ethnocentric people that just believe, why don't you learn English? I take the opposite. I want to learn and grow and understand you. Same thing, because you can really connect on the highest level, and I love it. Maybe one day I'll marry a Latino woman, God willing. They're the most beautiful in the world. Yeah, you heard that. That's right.
Spicy.
Spicy. Muy picante. A mí me gusta de todo, pero no hay problema. A mí me gusta todo igual de mis casas, pero las mujeres son lo mejor en todo el mundo.
Oh, snap.
You know it.
There you go.
But yeah, it's really been a huge asset just in terms of amazing relationships with the tenants. Or a lot of times I get a call, they're like, hold on, I'll pass you to my son. Pregúntale si tiene una casa de 4 con 2 recámaras. Dice, excuse me, do you have any houses with 4 beds and 2 bathrooms? Sí, tengo. Si quiere regresar los teléfonos a su padre. ¿Hablas español, gringo? Sí, yo entiendo.
They like you 10 times better because
they're like,
of that. Yeah.
We'll work with you. You understand.
Yeah.
So,
well, you level the playing field into that space of relativity, right? Like it's now you have something in common.
For sure.
But I think more important than that, it's not like people will acknowledge the effort in whatever it is that somebody's doing. When you see somebody who's doing good, a lot of times, the result is what's showing. But if you pay a little bit of attention, especially if you have that entrepreneur mindset where you know that it takes a long time to build something up, you appreciate the result, but you admire the effort.
Sure.
You're like, wow, that's a lot of commitment. Like I see the the deals that are happening right now, but I know like it's been at it for 15, 20 years. Like that's what you admire, and that comes across. Like it comes across in multiple different ways. Again, when you're connecting with with tenants, where you can just people all across, right? It doesn't matter, but the authenticity will show up.
Yeah.
And owning that, it's just gonna make it all bigger.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And having fun with it. It's like, hey, I'm speaking Spanish, so I tell them all the time, hey, nothing's perfect. I've learned in life, no house is built perfect, no relationship's perfect. My Spanish is far from perfect. My business is far from perfect. But if we're constantly, I'm not a complacent individual, so I want to learn and grow. So I tell people, correct me all the time. Or if you're in a house, you understand that even you're a coach, but we're also always students. If you have that mentality, and we're learning from everything around us, to listen, because I recognize that everybody has a unique asset and unique abilities. So if you just think you're the best at everything, you're not going to learn and grow. I always like to slow down. I watch, I absorb, I listen, I engage people. One of my biggest takeaways in the property restoration business and the rehabs is listening to my guys, love and respect them, and give them autonomy. When I walk in a home, it's not what I want to do. Right? I always said, hey, let's assume this is your I like playing, these hypotheticals. Let's assume this is your house. You have $50,000 to put in this property. Where do you put it and why? Now that answers a lot of my questions. These guys are far smarter than me in construction. They do it day in and day out. I have my ideas, but let's collaborate. You know, every time that we think we're the best at it, we're missing some major solutions. So it's always important to step back, give autonomy to the people we're working with. I don't like to say people that work for you. We work together as a team, that team mentality. I hate having that hierarchy, right? and enable them and employ them to be autonomous and make good decisions, but let's collaborate and give them that power, empower the people, because they're the ones that know better than you or I.
Yeah, they have different perspectives. What do they see that you don't, that you're missing? You may be the highest, person or the highest trained in the room in a theoretical approach, but what about, people who are actually out there? And what I'm saying is sometimes we'll hire somebody to cover. For example, right now, I haven't been on face-to-face acquisition appointments in a while. It's what I used to do. Every now and then, I'll still go to one appointment here and there, just to kind of keep up with it, right? But I don't have the exposure anymore that I used to have before. Now, the people that do acquisitions in the company, they do, right? So what's new? What challenges are you coming across that I'm not seeing? From this, I have a different vantage point now,
right?
And that's the reality of things, right? They're a lot more experienced. Tap into the people that are around you, which takes me back to the power of the network that you're building, right? And that you built over the last couple of decades. It's important to not just have those as placeholders, and understand that they can come in and then they can contribute a lot to
I'm
your
always
efforts.
listening. Whenever I walk to a job site, or I'm bringing in designers or the contractors, the electrician, or anybody, I always ask them questions first before I talk. What would you do? What do you see? Like you say, we all have different perspectives. Sometimes they say, again, the adage is, hey, you're in the forest, you can't see the trees. Or you get this macro perspective because you're over here and you got your acquisitions people that are in the trenches. Or you started out saying, hey, you take a year off and come back. You're so out of it, you don't even realize what's growing in the forest now. There's new species, there's new people that are new inhabitants. There's a whole different world out there that you're not familiar with. You're going to come and make a lot of mistakes because you're just been out of that cycle. You're outside that forest. So now you got to go in and talk to the people that are on the ground level and understand what's transpired over the last year. How's the climate? What's growing? Has there been any mold? What's happening here?
Yeah. Did you ever have the issue of releasing control as you were building stuff out? I mean,
the delegation?
It becomes your baby, right? After a period of time, whatever business you're in. If you put enough effort into it, enough, time and sweat, blood, and tears, it becomes your baby. And it's hard to let go of that.
For sure.
Let the baby go to kindergarten, and then let it go to elementary school, and then let it, Did you ever have that issue, or did you?
1,000%.
Right.
I'd say that's one of just being fully transparent, as we say, radically transparent and completely vulnerable. And I like to be vulnerable and just say it how it is. And, honest is, I have a hard time with delegation because I believe that, I'm going to do it right in my mind, even though there's people for sure that I know can do it better. But it's hard for me to just delegate and just assume. I'm such a type A personality, which can restrict me. It also helps me. So just then I have to follow up and say, did you do this? What happened here? When I could have just made that call or solved that issue myself. But in order to really scale and grow, you need to delegate. So once I learned to let go of all the accounting, I couldn't tell you until the next year how much money I make. I don't sit there and look at numbers. I focus my time on what's most important. That's acquisitions, building key relationships, and like you say, the money follows by doing good business. So once I've learned to let go and have a great team in place, I got a great bookkeeper, great assistant, full-time handyman, multiple crews, and give that delegation, give that autonomy to breathe and recognize, hey, we got a great team. Let them do what they need to do. If they have questions, they can come to me, and that's how you grow. But in the beginning, it was I didn't even want to let go of the accounting. I'm doing it on Excels, like I said, and then all of a sudden I'm like, you know what, I really need a bookkeeper, because if I'm sitting there doing all the numbers at night when I could be looking at deals, making, strategic
it's not your
phone
highest
calls,
and best.
It's not my highest and best. I'm cannibalizing my own time. I'm not paying myself what I need to. It's a big bottleneck to grow and scale. So yes, at first it was very hard to do. It's still always hard because we believe we're the best at everything, but it's not really true.
Of course we are.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Far from it. But you get it.
Absolutely.
It's a hard thing to let go because it is our baby. This is our thing.
Yeah, it's the concept of empowering somebody else to kind of take it and run with your model, with your business, with whatever, your operation looks like. It can be daunting, but it's one of the things that it's a must if you wanna progress. Otherwise, we just inevitably we'll stay kind of, we're swimming in the same space, right?
For sure.
It's just not making any progress really, because you end up in this cycle, doing everything, and then you get headaches. That's how I got burned out. I got burned out in my mid 20s. I was about 27 when it really hit me, the burnout. I launched my first business when I was 21, and
What kind of business?
Transportation, non-emergency medical transportation
cool.
business. Yeah, so I launched that, and then I went at it. I had that for quite a few years, and around, I think I'd had it for about 5 years or so at that point, and everything was overwhelming. I was a bottleneck for like the contract thing, I wanted to supervise even like the mechanics, like making sure that all the oil, like I would
What a
go
waste of time,
make
exactly.
sure that the
Yeah.
mechanics were doing their thing. Like, how the fuck is that my business?
Right.
Like I always take it for an oil change. Like I don't even do that myself. Why would I be micromanaging somebody, to do that kind of stuff? But I didn't understand it. I mean, I was not. I was I was bottlenecking everything. I mean, I was just really choking the life out of the business, and I was getting burned out. So it wasn't helping me in any capacity. And then empowering the team, empowering somebody to come in and then act as a director of operations was a big like stretch for me, but it helped me out so much. And that's how the business actually survived. And I say survived because we weren't thriving at that point. Did a lot better years after that, but it got to a point where, it was a tough lesson.
Sure.
And it's hard as an entrepreneur, as a CEO or owner, to come in and then kind of release, little by little, that control of your baby, because that's what it takes. But if your model, allows for it, like it's something that's gotta happen. At least in the stuff that it's not your highest and best. Then you pick and choose whatever you keep, right?
I want to say, I know this is your show, and I'm curious in your mindset too,
that's
and this is important to me, probably just as important to you. Is I know we both share a huge passion for health and fitness. I'm curious your background in that, how that comes into play with your business, and I'll explain how that comes into play with my business in terms of mindset, in terms of deflection of negative energy. So if we could talk about that a little bit, I think is a cool topic. Because I know, and I'm learning about you, and we haven't spent a lot of time, we've communicated, through a lot of mutual friends, and same thing, you got an amazing reputation. So I'm curious your mindset with the health and wellness and fitness, and deploying that into your business strategies.
I'm gonna sum it up in this. I think one of the most unselfish things that we can do as human beings is to be a little selfish, in terms of self-care. That to me, that's where, if I'm okay physically, if I'm okay emotionally, everybody around me is gonna be okay, right?
Yeah.
But I think we have to handle that, and a lot of times we empty the cup outside of us. And leave ourselves empty, but we run out of fuel. So with that being said, the physical aspect of things, just keeps energy up. That I'm not a bodybuilder, I'm not a competitor, or I like to stay active.
I see you do bodybuilding on your Instagram, different stuff. May not be for competition thing, but I see
I'll
you get
flex
after
every
it.
now and
there
then.
There he is. As you break the camera lens over here. All right, cool.
No,
Roll
but
down
it's
my sleeves a little bit.
It's the thing about it though, like it puts you in a different state of mind, right? When you push yourself on the physical level, on the biological level, it just rewires your thinking. Whenever you have a mental, so you have a new challenge, right? Physically, that's gonna be okay. I'm gonna bump up this max. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do whatever. Increase it 5 pounds. Increase it 10 pounds. That's a stretch, and you're working for it physically. Yeah. So now you can do it on the physical realm. On the mindset, it's a lot harder to work out that mind muscle, right? But if you have that wiring already in place because you were able to do it out here in what's tangible, when you sit with the mindset, it's easier to consume. At least for me, that's how I process it. To me, it keeps me balanced. It really if my mind is tired, I work out my body. If my body's tired, I work out my mind.
Interesting.
But it's always a counterbalance between the two. I think that makes it sweet.
Do you train in the morning or at night? I'm just curious.
I'm training in the afternoons for the most part, but I'll throw it in. I'll throw in runs in the morning. I'll throw in runs at workouts in the afternoon and stuff like that. I was talking to one of my guys earlier about just understanding trigger points, behavioral triggers. And like for example, if and you have the ability, right, the time to do it, but if that usually around 2-3 p.m. you get a low in energy, like you get off your ass and then you start doing something at 1 p.m. before it hits you. I mean, if that's a little jog, if that's 20 push-ups, if that's, you know, I don't dropping down in the middle of the cubicle and then doing whatever you got to do, you hit it right before that threshold hits. But it's a matter of balancing out, you know, the thinking and all the energy that's taking up with the physical side, because one feeds the other.
1,000%. I was thinking about this too, even like when I'm walking my dog, or the importance of staying in motion, which is, I think, a commonality, a common thing that we shared. It's like, hey, you get tired when you're in neutral or you're going in reverse. You start to get lethargic. But when you're in perpetual motion, it's hard to slow down, and you can leverage, you know, those wins and that momentum and that excitement to keep going. Again, we talk about capacity, and I'm a huge believer that we always have a much greater capacity than we believe. Just like, again, in Ironman, it's like you're going to go out there and train for 13 hours or a 14 or 15-hour race. That's impossible. It's not impossible. Your mind says it's impossible, but our bodies are.
When you think you're done, you still got like 40% in the tank.
We have so much more to go. Same thing when you're driving in the car. It's like it says empty, but it's not really. If it says E, but you're still driving, we can make it. You know, I think that's a huge part of my business too, is that health and wellness. That's the foundation for success, because if you're not taking care of yourself, it's hard to take care of other people, your crews, and treat people well. Or if you have all this bottleneck, if you're, you know, working 20 hours and you think you're productive, but you're working in a lethargic mentality, you're not working at full capacity because you're not fully alert and you're not there. Or you got mental fog or physical fog, right? If you're consuming the wrong stuff, or, you know, you're not filling your body with the appropriate nutrients or training and whatnot, then we're not maximizing our production. So I'd rather say that person's working 20-hour days, work 12-hour days, work out for 2 hours, get some sleep, and you're going to have the highest, you know, performance and productivity, far greater than you think you're working the 20 hours in half the time. It's just how it works.
Absolutely agree. It does. It does work that way. You get lethargic. You get, you know, tired. You get the same stuff goes on and on in your head. You know, and it's almost. Have you ever stared? I don't know. Into. Have you ever spaced out? You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
When you space out, and you don't know where your mind is at, it's because there's something that's misfiring inside your head. Sure. You're tired.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know where was I. And then you come back to the body. It's the same thing. Like, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
You need some rest. You need some, you know, counterbalance to it. Not necessarily. That doesn't always mean a nap, right? But it means getting some blood flow up there. And I mean, that goes a long way. Just I have this little alert that kicks in every couple of hours. So if I'm completely focused on something and I'm just like, and I work standing, for example, I hardly ever sit down. I'm always standing all day, and I'll work. You know, I'm known to work 12, 14-hour days sometimes, just when I go into a project and I'm focused on that thing. I'll lose track of time. But it's not. I have reminders that kick in, like, "Hey, do some push-ups."
That's hilarious. It's smart.
And,
I like it.
and it's just getting the blood, you know, up in the, up in your head, and it's more clarity of thinking. Yeah. That's on the physical side, and then on the mental aspect of things, I mean, meditation and having time to yourself, not necessarily, you know, levitating with, you know, with the most advanced meditating strategies, but having some time to yourself and to sit in silence and give that train of thought that's consistently going through our heads, give that a break, give that a gap for new, fresh things to come in. I think that's important, and that I do in the morning. If I try to do that in the middle of a day, I have a harder time. That, to me, I wake up, first thing I do. Yeah.
Got it. Interesting. Love that.
Yeah. So it's how do you feel like it the physical side impacts the way that you operate? I mean, you're always going.
I think it's instrumental. It's an intricate part of what I do. I mean, I wake up every day, and the second thing that I do is go to work out. I like to hit the gym, you know, immediately, because it brings that positive energy, gets that momentum. You know, it gets me out of that neutral or, you know, reverse when I'm sleeping. So we're recovering, we're filling up. We're charging that battery. But once it's charged, then I'm burning that battery, and I'm going to burn it hard and fast and rock and roll. So that positivity that I get, because I love the training, I like the sweating. It clears my mind, too. I think there's a direct correlation between that physicality and that mental aspect for me. Or if I'm swimming for an hour and I detach from my phone because we're constantly connected to it, I want to bring that positive energy. I don't want to have any lethargic interactions with people because, again, the people feel that energy. They can pick up on it.
Oh, yeah.
And same thing, too. It's like the stock market, right? It's easy to think, you know, the long-term mentality versus the short mentality, sprint versus the marathon. Stocks, they go up and down all day long. can you weather the storm? People panic. They make irrational decisions if don't have a good, clear mind. Let's talk about even the pandemic for a second. All of a sudden, the Dow Jones goes to 18,000. Right now, we're at 35. Those people that panic and so I'm going into cash, they never knew when to get back in. They just missed a 100% run from where they pulled out. But if you have that long-term mentality and you can weather the storm and you know that, hey, this is temporary, pain is temporary, all that stuff, the physicality, all the mental stuff, it's temporary, it's going to come back. You have that long-term mindset and you have that calm, strategic mind. That's what I get from working out. So I never panic. Early on in my career, I would say, hey, you have a couple assets. All of a sudden you get a call, the AC's out. You're like, oh my God, how am I going to pay $5,000? You freak out. And, hey, just put a new capacitor in there. Just change, let's do Band-Aids.
Band-Aids.
That's the wrong mentality. It's all about surgery. It's investing in it. So if you have that long-term mentality, you're like, hey, no big deal. It deflects off my positive energy. I'm not going to, otherwise that would penetrate me. I feel sick. I'm not going to eat dinner. I just spent $5,000 on a new AC. But you realize you're investing in yourself. You're investing in that business. It's not such a bad thing. Now you're not going to get a call on that AC for maybe 10 years because it's brand new. Instead of saying the negative, oh, it just cost me $5,000, I just put $5,000 positive money into this business. I have a happier tenant. They're going to save money on electricity, and this thing's going to continue to grow and appreciate. And by the way, I can write off, the AC. It's an improvement that I can, get a tax deduction on. So the depreciation aspect. So when you can understand that and comprehend it and weather the storm instead of looking at the stock that goes down nothing goes up all day, every day. Everything is volatile, just relationships, life, everything.
Yeah.
And understanding that, then you have that long-term trajectory and positivity, and you're good. So I deflect negativity through that mental well-being and acute awareness, and just push through the day.
There's a really good book, Wayne Dyer's Power of Intention, and I don't know. Have you read it?
I am not a big reader. I've read a couple books since bought it.
So it's, it really talks about the intention behind the thoughts. Like, okay, because you have, this is a bottle, right? You can say, well, shit, the bottle's empty. I'm out of water. Or you can say, oh, shit, the bottle's empty. My body's nourished.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the intention behind the thought that can create the experience. And seeing things from, as you're saying it right now, we can create that experience, right? From the situation that's coming at us. We just had, we had a tenant cash for keys type of scenario. Those get sketchy and everything. And I could say, hey, you know what? It cost us a couple of $1,000s. Or I could say, well, we invested a couple of $1,000s to make, 10 times as much.
I'm of the mentality as well. It didn't cost. You just invested a couple $1,000s to ensure that you're going to make a lot more money.
Yeah.
Because with that tenant in there who's not paying you, now you've got a non-performing asset. And it's still an asset that's probably still appreciating right now, but now you can do something with it. And I think keeping that even mindset, so many people get very temperamental. So let's go back to that mental acute awareness, that mental well-being and physical well-being. It enables you to keep a calm mind and take so much of that emotional volatility out of the day. A lot of people operate on emotion or under influence. You see people you go to an auction and all of a sudden you get that irrational exuberance to overpay for property because it's exciting. You
Reaction
want to buy the
versus
house.
action. Yeah.
Totally. And so when I'm interfacing with a negative tenant, someone's screaming to me for something I didn't even do. Hey, the AC blew out and it's 110 degrees and it sucks. I'm like, hey, I'm very sorry. But a lot of people can get pulled into and lured into that emotional roller coaster, and one thing escalates and it's a domino, you escalate. But if you could stay that calm mind and give them reassurance and stay calm and positive, good things happen.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Completely agree, man. Completely agree. It's harder. I think the ego gets in the way, and that's why it can be one of those harder things to tackle or to get under control. I don't want to say, absolutely dominate, but at least manage it, in a better way. But the main reason, what I understood for me, was that anytime I got triggered, anytime I got overexcited and pissed off about something that was just situational, was a matter of the ego. To me, everything came back to I should not be dealing with this crap.
Right.
This should not be my headache. Fuck, it's life. Everything. If it's in your path, it's in your path. It's up to us how we choose to react to it. Early on, in the conversation, you were talking about focus. You were talking about, because I asked you about, staying or building a portfolio specifically in one single area. Normally, you have somebody that they'll start in single family residence, they'll blow up to commercial, and you've done it all. But you choose to stay in your core competency, you called it. So, tell me about that, and what does that look like in terms of focus?
Yeah. So a lot of people easily get distracted. You're driving down the highway, you're in your car, you think it's great, then all of a sudden you see the new next model or you see something fast, you're like, I want to get that one. Or I'm doing single family. You hear about your buddy that just syndicated, a $20 million deal and made $10 million on one deal. Shiny objects. Oh, I'm going to take this course. I've learned that in the niche business or whatever niche you're in, if you can become as much of an expert as possible and not get distracted and divert your attention, you're going to do really, really well. So I've learned that, hey, single family is my game. I'm going to continue to do that. I've been lured and tried to get into commercial by other people. And again, there's enough money and an abundance of opportunities in the single family market. Why do I need to jump ship? My business model is working great. I don't need another car. I don't need, to go buy a $20 million syndication opportunity. I just want to buy some more houses one at a time, build good strategic relationships. It works. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And I enjoy it, and it's fun. That's what I'm good at. I'm not good at apartments. I'm not good at land development. I'm not good at new construction builds. Other people are, and I'll leave that to you guys. So I see it time and time again. I got a buddy who I mentor, and he's in the behavioral health business. He's like, I want to flip houses. I'm like, no, you don't. You're making $80,000 to $100,000 a month. Let's keep getting you some more houses to build that business because that's doing amazing. I can promise you that, the grass isn't greener on the other side for all these other people that say, hey, I want to get in behavioral health because I see this one guy doing it. Well, they're the experts in that field. So it's, you don't want to just be mediocre at a bunch of things. You should be amazing at one thing or two things and stay within your core competency. Warren Buffett, a huge mentor of mine, he doesn't invest in things he doesn't understand. I don't understand a lot of things like the Bitcoin and crypto and everyone, or why aren't you in Bitcoin? I don't understand it. I don't understand the tangibility of it. I like hard assets, so it doesn't work for me. God bless those people, and I also wish abundance and opportunity for everyone. I want everyone to be successful. It's not a zero-sum game to me. Right. I think everybody has the capacity to do great, and I want everyone to do well. I never look in anyone else's pocket. So many people worry about, what did you make? What's this deal? Or what? I said, I hope you make $10 million. I hope you bought this house for free. God bless you. All I can tell you is what I can pay for it. I hope you do, crush it, and I hope we can do a lot more business. That's it. Don't look in my pocket. I won't look in yours.
Yeah. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
No, I think focus is important. I mean, it can be easy to get curious about, other stuff, right? And have that shiny object, effect kick in and get the best of us. But focus, at least in until you get well with one area, you have good structure in place, and you have that running. If you want to build out from there, then it's a different story, right? But I think we got to do one thing right before we move on to the next, and not have 72 different projects running that are just kind of like that. Have you ever seen that act where in circus they have the plates going around and then they're standing on like sticks? Never seen that?
Mm-mm.
No. I've seen it a couple of times, but you go to the circus and then there's this person. They have like sticks on their hands, and then they have just plates on top of the sticks, just spinning, and they're spinning, right? And they have like one, and then they get another one, and they hold on another one with their foot, and like doing this number. Now, next thing you know, they have 10 plates out there. Like that's what it feels like to have a whole bunch of different projects. Right. That when you don't have one that's solidified. So
but
I think
going back to that. Sorry to interject. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I say it, but I mean, focus on getting proficient in one thing before you move on to the next. I think it's important.
Or just staying proficient at that one. You don't have to always move on to something. It's not like, hey, I'm going to get great at this, and now I'm going to go bigger and bigger and bigger, and then all of a sudden you've jeopardized everything that you built from a fundamental level because you got greedy, because you think that, hey, you went from $200,000 homes to a multifamily development. You're putting everything that you acquired over here. What happened to strategic diversification? Right. This is not diversification. You're over allocating everything you built up to swing for this home run. I learned to hit. I like solid singles. I'm a single hitter. Boom, I'm that long-term player. I'm not swinging for home runs, and I'm very rational in terms of what I'm looking to make on a deal in terms of volume. But the other thing that's key about being very proficient or becoming an expert in one thing is execution. So if you're not 100% efficient in something, or you're not really staying in touch with the market, it's a lot like stocks, right? If you don't understand the companies, what's going on in the macro markets, does it affect the micro markets? There's so many different variables within each market or with each niche in entrepreneurship. I want to be the expert. So when someone calls me, I'm not going to have analysis paralysis. I know the market so well, or we're either creating the market because we just sold the highest comp, and I can operate leveraging the fact that I'm in the trenches, being proficient, so I can make an immediate, quick decision. That's one of the greatest benefits is people don't like indecisive. People don't like the word maybe in business. People want to know either you're interested, yes, I'm going to buy the house, or no, I'm not, or give me a definitive number. Get me out of the maybe zone. It's like going out calling a girl, you know, you want to go on a date? Well, maybe. What do you mean maybe? Either you like me, I'm not offended if you don't, you know, it's tell me no. Or, hey, when are you, I'll do the assumptive close. When are you free for dinner, you know? When are you free for drinks? Monday or Tuesday, you know? So same thing in real estate. Somebody calls me and says, hey, I got this deal. What do you think? I said, I think I'm going to buy it, and here's my number. That's my rationale. Yeah. Because I'm proficient in there, I'm not going to take a long time because we're the market makers. You know, we're not reacting to somebody else's stuff. We're in the trenches day in and day out.
Yeah, you're working, and you have that hyper focus on your core competency, which, you know, allows you to perform that way, right? And you're right, like no, you don't have to move to something else. And I think that you know, getting proficient at something, it's not sexy. Like that's one of the biggest things. Like it's not, you know, it's not cool to just have this one thing like anymore. People want to have this, and that, and then have some of that too. Sure. Like the serial entrepreneur, you know, dream, whatnot. Like that, I think that tends to kick in. But getting really good at one thing, it's really what pays the
bills.
Yeah, man. Like
I don't need sexy. I just need, you know, cash flow, good relationships, having fun. I'm a simple person. Take all the sexiness out of it. Let's just make money and have fun. You know,
enjoy the process.
Totally. You got to enjoy. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, you're not passionate about it, then you should find a new niche to be in. Yeah. You know, it's fun. This is real estate to me is engaging. But whatever niche someone's in, and I know it's entrepreneurship, be enthusiastic about it. Let it, you know. Let it drive you in the morning to wake up and breathe. Like I get to do something I love to do every day that's impactful, it's changing lives, it's enhancing communities, or whatever it is you're doing. What an amazing opportunity.
One thing that I learned, or that I, one of my in a conversation with one of my coaches, it's there's a lot of ways to play in the places that we like, in industries that we like. For example, there's a lot of ways to play in real estate, not necessarily doing transactions and the, you know, spuds and traditional stuff, right? I play in real estate. That's how I see it. I come in and I get to play in real estate every single day, and I do it in different ways. I do it through coaching, I do it through investments, through, you know, fix and flip, and, you know, so many different ways that it stays dynamic, and it's not boring, it's not tedious, it's not another day at the office, you know, type of deal. It's I'm not dragging. I get excited about coming into it because I get to play, right? And I think that if we come in and then we see what we're doing with playful eyes, man, so many different, you know, opportunities and possibilities just open up.
For sure.
I mean, I think we have a pretty good example in some of the people in our immediate circle. Like, you know, Pace and Jamil, these guys, like they go play on their, you know, rehab projects and stuff like that. Like it's important, I think, to keep that energy up. And coming or hold it up from a space of enjoyment, not necessarily, okay, I want to, like, I'm forcing myself to keep the energy up. No, it's not. Like, you're actually enjoying the process. Yeah, you're enjoying the process. It's authentic. So yeah, beautiful. Bro, it's. I mean, I think we've tackled a lot of things in the podcast and the conversation. Everything from Spanish lessons to
there it is
to mindset and fitness. So I like to ask, if you were walking down the street and you walked in and you ran into your 17-year-old self, what would you tell Zak? What would you tell 17-year-old Zak?
Again, follow your passion, go with your gut, use your intuition on certain things. So many people overanalyze things, do things, and I was blessed that no one forced me to do anything. I come from an entrepreneurial family. No one said, hey, this is what you're going to do. In fact, most people would have said, hey, take over your dad's, you know, law firm, or go into teaching like your mom, or, you know, whatever it may be. That continue to follow your heart, follow your dreams and passion. I think everything happens for a reason. Don't double guess things. You know, continue to be healthy and build your foundation from the health, and then the world is, you know, your oyster. You could do anything that you want as long as you got good health and a positive mindset. And, you know, everyone has that opportunity for massive success. You don't need, you know, to come from a huge, you know, wealthy family. You know, if you work hard, we stay consistent, you water those plants every single day, you bring good energy, you are transparent and honest and, you know, ethical, and, you know, you follow your passion, good things are going to come your way. And I've been very, very blessed. You know, I really have. I'm definitely, certainly lucky with some wind, and I've had some volatility. But I'd say stay the course, you know, and don't be fearful to do something that you're passionate about doing and don't pull out too soon because, that win is right around the corner. So many people think like, hey, I'm going to get this thing done, and they have, again, that sprint mentality, but recognize, hey, just be calm, be patient, water every single day, just like going to the gym every day. You're not going to eat a six-pack tomorrow. You got to eat health. You're not going to go to the gym and eat a bunch of food and say, I'm counterbalancing. We all know the truth. Follow the intuition. You eat healthy. You work out well. Good things are going to happen. Same thing in business. You deploy those principles. And also really understanding, we didn't talk about this much, but this is really important to me, is the downside risk, the contingency planning, whatever you do. Think about, the domino effect of each action, and always think about, play the what-if game in whatever your decision that you're doing. Say, hey, if this happens, what's the domino effect of this? Then if this happens, then what happens? If you can cover all those contingency plans, then, you've got a very safe business plan, in business period. And so many people, again, operate with wind at their back. I want to operate with and pretend that wind's coming at me. What happens? It changes your whole business model, but now you've got a very durable, solid foundation that's not going to crack, and you're going to be there and weather the storm in business and life and relationships and whatever it may be.
That's one of the best pieces of advice that I've heard. I kid you not. I mean, plan. Start off with a contingency in mind, and plan almost as if the wind was against you.
Right.
That way, I mean, you're right. It'll change your business model, but you'll be prepped for whatever
anything.
Contingencies.
You know what you're prepped for? Success, baby.
Yeah.
Because if we can cover every negative thing that comes our way, we built a bulletproof business model.
Yeah.
And when those things don't happen, hopefully they won't, then you really have wind at your back. I mean, it's true. It's like, whoa,
Times
we're
two.
expecting the worst and we're hoping for the best. Now we're really planning. I'm the guy with the umbrella on the beach just in case there's a hurricane or, extra water behind me that you didn't see in case I get super thirsty. I'm a contingency guy.
Yeah.
That's important.
I love it, man. I love it. So I know you do coaching as well with students, and I mean, you're very, very active here in Maricopa County. If somebody wants to get hold of you, I don't know, team up, JV, bring you a deal, or just touch base and whatnot, where's the best place to find you?
Reach out to me on my Instagram, Zak Ventures. I got a TikTok that's blowing up all of a sudden with my boy Luigi, set that up, and Matt Linhart, intern I had for the summer. So, but definitely they can DM me through the Instagram platform under Zak Ventures, or search my name, Zak Keepes, or even call my cell phone. We can put that out there. I don't know what your viewership is too.
Free range.
602-405-9225. Give me a call. No worries. You can edit that out if we need to, Luigi. It's all good. But I always like giving back and helping people. If I can help affect and transition, people from, wherever they're at, and help enhance their lives in any capacity through real estate, through business consulting, whatever it is, I'm always happy and willing to take any call anytime. I always take all my calls. So if someone reaches out, you better believe I'll call you back. And I love the opportunity to JV, think outside the box, teach people what I do. I have a new coaching program coming out soon that we're working on. I had a big, successful preliminary program for the last year. About 65 people across the nation.
Where do people go to find out about that?
Same thing. They can just reach out on my Instagram. Okay. We're creating some new content and whatnot, which is going to be super exciting. I like to keep it small and intimate to really delve into the students very consultatively, more on a small basis. And we've seen some great success. I've had a couple students last month. They made $200,000, another one 135 on a flip. A lot of the students, their first, second, third flips, they're making 40, 50, 60,000. Amazing stuff. But they're the ones that are watering the plants. They're just taking a proven concept, a proven model, and it's all about implementation. This isn't rocket science. There's no magic punch in here, as we discussed, right? Whatever you want to do, you be consistent about it. You operate with ethics and transparency, and good things are going to come your way. Whatever domain, whatever entrepreneurship endeavor you decide to do, just a matter of do it. Don't be fearful. Get out there and take that first step, and then worry about running, worry about, sprinting and go from there. But that first step's what you need to do. Get in motion. Get out of neutral.
I love it, brother. I love it. Thank you so much.
This
it's been
is
a
amazing.
Blast, man.
It's great. I look forward to continuing the conversation. You're a great guy. I look forward to many more of these and doing business with you in any way I can help you.
Let's go. I think we can do business right now, actually.
Sure.
When we get off, I'm going to tell you about a deal I have because you mentioned something like that.
Let's do it.
I love it, man. Thanks for stopping by.
And,
I know you're a super busy guy.
People got to follow you on my stuff. Obviously, they see your stuff here. How do they get in touch with you?
Rafael,
you have all your stuff.
Rafael Cortez, CEO. You can find me Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
There you go.
Everywhere. Everywhere there.
Great guy.
Yeah, but thank you so much, brother. I know you're a busy dude, and I appreciate you taking the time, carving out some time to come in and sit down and then just drop golden nuggets of information. So.
Pues muchísimas gracias por la oportunidad. Dejamos en comunicación y la próxima.
Gracias, cabrón. Boom! There you guys have it. Another episode of the CEO Pulse Podcast right at you. Let's go.